Hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with us how to sew this beautiful net dress. In our last video, I shared with us how I drafted and stitched the Ankara pencil gown with a buste pattern on the knit. So today we'll be sewing this beautiful net dress. Stick around and let's get started. It's your girl, OJB Fashion Style. So to make this net gown would require 3 yards of net, which is what is on the table right now. Okay, so the particular net I bought is not very transparent, it's not very revealing. I wanted something that wasn't very transparent, so you could buy any net of your choice. So this is the particular pattern I bought, and you also have different grades and different prices in the market. Okay, so to start with, we'll be taking the measurement for the top portion of our net, and the first thing I'm doing now is folding my net fabric in two and then folding it again in four. So the two portion at the top would be for the front, the portion that does not have a slit, while the other two would be for the back. And for the length of the top, I'll be using 16 inches. So I'll rule a line across the point there and I'll go ahead to cut it out. I'm so sorry the camera wasn't well positioned and so you didn't see it properly. So the one for the back of our top is the one with the seam allowance or zipper area. Okay, so I'll be cutting the back and the front simultaneously. And the first measurement I'm taking there is the neckline measurement, which is 4 inches into 4 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead now to connect both points together using my curve rule. Like I always say, if you watch my videos a lot, you would have seen me done this on several occasions. So after that, I'm taking my shoulder to shoulder measurement of 8 inches, which is what I just did. And you can see me also taking a 1-inch shoulder slope. So I'll go ahead now to connect that point back into the neckline. So from my shoulder point, I'll be taking a measurement of 10 inches, which is my bust point. Okay, so from my shoulder point to the bust point is 10 inches. I'll also go above my bust point with 2 inches to get my chest line measurement. So using my straight rule, I'll be drawing a straight line all the way back to the shoulder slope as you see me do now. And then also from my chest point, I'm also going to be drafting my angle for my armhole measurement using my straight rule. Okay, so from that angle there, I'll be able to draft my armhole measurement. So on my chest line, I'm taking a measurement of 10 inches, which is my bust circumference divided by 4. And you see me using my curve rule now to connect it back into the shoulder slope area. So usually I would take the midpoint of my armhole depth, but this time I didn't bother to do that. And then also I'll be adding 2 inches seam allowance to the measurement I took for my bust circumference. From that point there, I would also be taking my waist measurement, which is 32 inches divided by 4. It gave me 8. And then I'll go ahead to add 2-inch seam allowance to it as well. So from that point there, I'll be using my curve rule to connect it with the point on my armhole. Having drafted the basic pattern for the top part of our gown, I went ahead to cut it out, and this is the final look of the top portion. So I would set this aside now to work on the skirt, which is a line or a shape pattern. So for this, I have 2 pieces of fabric that I had cut out. They are both equal. The full length is 20 inches, while the width is 36 inches, which is actually 1 yard. Okay, so ensure you take note of that. So I'll go ahead now to make a fold in 2 again. So it will now be 4 instead of 2 fabric. So now I folded it again and now I have 4 fabric. So at the very top there, I'll go ahead to take my waist measurement, which is 8 inches, and I'll be adding extra 2-inch seam allowance to it to make it 10. So from that waist point there, I'm going to be using my straight rule to draft an A shape there. You can see me indicating with my finger. So I actually made two of this net gown. One was for myself and the other was for a friend. So there are two different type of A shape I did. You can see where this particular one is ending. So you could make yours this pattern, and then the other pattern is to take it all the way down. So this is the way this one is. The one I actually wore on this video was the other one where it will go from the top to the very bottom. Okay, so the fabric you're seeing now, the net you're seeing rather, is what I would use to make pleats around the base of the A shape. So we'll be working on the top portion first, and for this I have my net which I had drafted and cut out. So I have the one for the back and then also the one for the front. So the one for the back are two separate pieces, while the one for the front is a single piece. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to use my bias to pipe the neck area, or you could use any piece of black fabric that you have. So you just take a 1-inch measurement and use it to pipe the neckline. So I have my back piece and the front neatly done, as you can see, and I'm simply placing the front on top of the back net now, and I'll be stitching on the shoulders first and then also on the side. So you can see me still trying to show the work. It is neatly done, so the neck area is no longer rough. So ensure that while placing your net, you're actually placing the right sides facing each other. Okay, so the side facing the table is the wrong side and the one facing the camera is also the wrong side. So like I said, I'll be stitching the shoulders first and then the two sides as well. So after I was done stitching, this is what it now looks like, neatly done. Okay, so we'll be setting this aside now to work on the skirt portion, which is an A-line skirt. So I have my net for my skirt. First, I'm going to be stitching on the two sides. So ensure you take your 2-inch seam allowance measurements before stitching on the sides of the skirt, as you see me indicate with my fingers. So guys, I also opened the zipper area after stitching the sides. As you can see, I opened it a little because this is a net. I didn't bother to leave out zipper allowance while cutting my skirt, and because of that 2-inch seam allowance, I knew I could always make adjustments on the side. So I'm simply arranging my skirt now so you see what the shape is like. So you can see what the base is looking like after making pleats around the base of this skirt and attaching our top. The sides which you are seeing there is going to drop lower than the middle front of the skirt. Okay, so I actually decided to change the pattern so I and my friend could have a different look. So now I'm going to be attaching the top on the skirt. So I'll be placing it on the skirt, the right sides facing each other. So ensure you get the midpoint and also the both sides, the side of the skirt and the side of the top are at the same point. Okay, so the only way you can achieve this is that the waist measurement of the top is equal to the waist measurement of the skirt. So if there is need for any adjustments, do so that the length of the waist of the skirt is equal to the length of the waist of the top. So after I was done, this is what it is looking like. Like I said, I made two different A shape. So this is one, okay, and then this is the other one. Okay, so I'll go ahead now using my net fabric which is remaining to make pleats around the M line of this A shape. So I gave an illustration for three different patterns of pleats that I made on this gown. So this is just the simple basic pleat. You can see that the net is placed on the A A shape, and then I'm making folds to make pleats on it. So I'll go over to the sewing machine to stitch on it. So the second one is this pattern. Okay, so you can see the way I'm placing it on top of the A shape now. So I'll also be making pleats around it. So I'll go over to the sewing machine now to stitch my pleats on it. Okay, so you could make this basic pleat or kissing pleat. So while stitching on the machine, the one I did was kissing pleat, making fold on opposite directions continually. So this is what it looked like after I was done making my pleats around it. So you can see it is very long, and then the edges are quite rough. First, I'm going to be joining on that side that has opening, and then I'll be trimming around the nets. You could create patterns while trimming, but I didn't bother to create patterns while trimming. I went ahead to just trim it all the way around it. So next was the drafting of our sleeve. Okay, so it's a basic sleeve pattern. I used my free hand. I do this a lot in my videos, so this is what even a beginner can do. Using my chalk or my candle, I'm simply drafting a curve around the armhole. So ensure that the fabric you cut for your sleeve is actually long enough to go around your arm. Okay, so I went ahead to cut it out, and this is basically it for the drafting of my sleeve. You could check out my channel for a detailed tutorial video on how to draft a sleeve. So I have the fabric for both sleeves now, as you can see, which I'll be attaching to our gown. So first, you can see the edges. I made patterns around the edges of my sleeve, and it is actually looking very beautiful. So I'm simply making a notch at the midpoint of my sleeve armhole there, and then I'll go ahead to attach it to the armhole area of my sleeve. So you could actually hold it in place with your pins first, but I didn't bother to do that. So if you're a beginner, you can use your pins to hold your sleeve in place before going to the sewing machine to stitch it. So this is what the final look is after attaching my sleeve to my net gown. It is looking so beautiful. So the last and final thing I'm going to be doing to the back of this gown is that I'm going to be using this material which I had cut out from an old outfit. I'm going to be using it to pipe around that opening there, as you can see, or rather you could use your zipper. But for this outfit, I didn't want to use a zipper since there is already a zipper for our Ankara gown that will be worn inside. I felt it would be nice to give it a different look. So now, after stitching that fabric, you can see me folding it inward. I'll take it back to the sewing machine now to run stitches all around that area. Okay, and then I'm going to be attaching my bias velvet, which I'll be tying when wearing my net gown. Okay, so I can also use it to create a bow after tying it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial video. If at this point you haven't subscribed, kindly hit the subscribe button, give your girl a thumbs up, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.